It's Pizza Friday, everybody. I don't know if you do this, but we have an annual daily, weekly tradition. We have a weekly tradition here at the office where we eat pizza every Friday. Do you do something like that? Let me know down below in the comments. But that's not the existential question of the day. What do you do with your weekly routines? That's pathetic. Today's existential question is, if a Transformer dies, can you use their corpse as your regular car? Need to know, okay? Dead Optimus Prime. Is he just a Peterbilt on the road right now? Is that what happened? Is somebody driving Bumblebee's destroyed carcass just around town, flexing with the Camaro? Questions need answers sometimes. So I'll let you ponder on that, answer down below in the comments, but let's talk about something else that needs answers, which is ASRock has announced a feature for Intel that we haven't seen for many moons. It's not officially coming from Intel, but it would make it so that it's actually what AMD already has, which is overclocking on basically every chipset and CPU. How is this a hard thing? Of course, I want to overclock my Ryzen 3. I don't care if it dies, it's a Ryzen 3. I spent $100 on it. What's the big deal? Why can't you let me do this? In case you're not familiar, Intel CPUs typically only allow overclocking on the CPUs that have a K on the end of their name. If it doesn't have a K, you can't overclock it. There have been a few changes here and there to that. Back at Skylake, you could overclock some of them, but Intel wanted that patched out with a BIOS update. However, there are some indications, we talked about in a previous episode of Hot News this week, that a Maxsun B460 allows for overclocking, but ASRock will have overclocking on B460 and potentially H410, while also allowing overclocking on non-K CPUs. So that would allow you to overclock your i5 10400 or your i3 10100 using an ASRock B460 when those finally potentially get announced. The way that they're doing this is through something called base frequency boost, which isn't anything groundbreaking. You can't change the multiplier or do anything like that. However, what it does allow you to do is transform the TDP of the CPU. So typically the non-K CPUs from Intel are 65 watts. The base frequency boost will allow you to unlock that to 125 watts, and ASRock will allow you to supply more power to those CPUs. So they're showing in this slide that with the base frequency boost of adding an extra 60 watts of headroom, you go from 3.6 gigahertz to 4 gigahertz on the i5 10400, and then on the i7 10700, you go from 3 gigahertz to 3.9, and on the i9 10900, you go from 2.6 to 3.7. So adding over an entire gigahertz with just this base frequency boost setup. However, the question does have to rise up, which is, when is Intel going to ban this? When are they going to make this not viable? When are they going to force ASRock to release a BIOS update to get rid of this? Probably sometime soon, if I had to guess. Intel not a fan of giving us control over their CPUs. AMD just setting a precedent. You want a $99 CPU that can overclock? Buy the Ryzen 3 3100. There you go. You can do it on a B450. You can do it on a B350. You don't have to get the latest, fanciest stuff to have control over your CPU. AMD, communist for all.
What do I owe you? Nothing. It's for free. Free!
What do you think of this? What do you think of B460 and non-K CPU overclocking? Let me know down below in the comments. But also, one of the big things with Intel's launch yesterday was Z490 motherboards that support PCI Express 4.0. Why do they do this? The CPUs cannot do it. Intel came out and said Comment Lake is still PCI Express 3.0. So why is it there? Well, in a live stream yesterday, Gigabyte confirmed that Z490 will support Intel's 11th gen Rocket Lake, which we would assume would then have PCI Express 4.0 baked into the CPU. So it's expected, just like Kaby Lake, Comet Lake is going to be a short-lived processor, and then Rocket Lake will actually bring all of the features that we're waiting for. Kaby Lake only had up to 4 cores, 8 threads, and then Coffee Lake finally brought it over to that, 8700K coming out with 6 cores and 8 threads. Intel finally slightly catching up to AMD. That's what we're kind of expecting with the i9 11900K when that finally comes out. However, with PCI Express 4.0, we got to see how each motherboard vendor responded to that. MSI, Gigabyte, and ASRock all talking about how their motherboards support PCI Express 4.0. Asus, however, taking a different stance, not mentioning PCI Express 4.0 in their marketing, just simply in a response to a question, they said that the motherboards have been engineered with PCI Express 4.0 readiness in mind, but they're not using it to promote it because it's just simply not available. You get a PCI Express 4.0 board that is essentially worthless until Intel can finally give us the chips that we're waiting for later on, which, weird. This isn't the case where we had AMD accidentally give us PCI Express 4.0 on B450 with BIOS updates, because that's like taking a new technology and backporting it to something old. That's kind of cool. But then shutting that down, I get it, forcing people to buy X570. This is literally having a feature that nobody can use yet. Speaking of a feature that nobody uses, cloud gaming. Hey, AMD just announced that they have a new partner when it comes to developing the next generation graphical technology for cloud gaming. Reece, take a big guess. Who would AMD partner with for such a monumental task? Oxide Games.
Who?
Oxide Games.
Who again?
Oxide Games. Do you have any idea what they've done?
No.
I'll let you know what they've done. Ashes of the Benchmark. They were responsible for coming out with the first DX12 game that supported async compute, which gave AMD an advantage in benchmarks because Maxwell was terrible at it. So that happens, but that's essentially the only game that I'm aware of that they've released. They also have Star Swarm, technically, but what's Star Swarm? I can't find many games that are using Oxide Games engine. AMD came out and said, Oxide shares this passion and is an ideal partner for us as we expand the way gamers play while delivering the quality experience they demand. Not sure how. Maybe they've been working on something that never came to market. Ashes of the Singularity as a game wasn't particularly well received as an RTS. I think the reason it only got as much promotion as it did was because a lot of tech YouTubers used it as a benchmark because of its DX12 and async compute features. It was something that no other game had at the time. So their ability to work with the low-level API first was kind of novel, but AMD's signing a multi-year partnership to co-develop technologies for cloud gaming with them. But I do know that in case you're having some instability in your PCI Express slot on your X570 motherboard, well, now there's a new microcode BIOS update coming out to fix that. It also fixes a few other things. It makes it so that everything's good. It's just updates, yay. It's resolved an intermittent virtual memory error with Realtek onboard LAN. Yay! And fix the PCI Express lane configuration issue on the Ryzen 3 Pro 2100GE and improve posts with select Micron DDR4 3200 memory integrated circuits. And an update on Xbox Series X. We're getting a gameplay reveal May 7th. This is official. Microsoft has said that this is happening. Obviously, the Assassin's Creed Valhalla trailer dropped yesterday, and it had a big Series X logo prominently displayed on it, so we can expect that would probably likely get showed off, as well as other games that maybe will be launch titles for the Series X, hopefully. But more Microsoft news. Microsoft has confirmed that their Game Pass has surpassed 10 million subscribers, which makes sense. It's a good feature. On PC, it's like $5 a month, and you get to play a whole bunch of games. Like you get Forza for $5 a month, and others, I don't know what they are, because I only used it for Forza, because I got it for $1 for 1 month, and I used it anyways. Speaking of Forza, cars, racing cars, not a Hummer, but I'm talking about the Hummer, the 1,000 horsepower electric Hummer truck that was supposed to be unveiled on May 20th has been postponed due to Voldemort. They're not going to be revealing it to us until a later date. So we'll have to wait for that. Speaking of postponing, Microsoft has been postponing updating Windows 10 search bar to be useful in any sort of way whatsoever. But they added a new feature where if you search Voldemort, it'll give you info on Voldemort. I'm so glad that they can do that, but can't fix simple directory issues. If I search for a freaking folder on my gosh dang Windows 10, it sometimes doesn't give it to me and gives me a website instead. How do you not prioritize your local files? I don't understand. But thank you for giving me Voldemort information. I desperately needed that over actually finding things. Sorry, I got a little heated there. I'm gonna get more heated towards the end of this episode, so just prepare yourself for that. But in case you want ray tracing to heat up your gameplay in World of Warcraft, there's a new alpha for World of Warcraft Shadowlands that has ray tracing options in there just for the shadows, but ray trace shadows in World of Warcraft. Nice. Speaking of updates, Pixel. Going to be updated to the Pixel 4a. We have a speculated release date of May 22nd. This is according to a German retailer who is specifying that. There's also some released images of the Pixel 4a's camera coming out. There's also the speculated price of $400, with it having a Snapdragon 730, 6 gigs of RAM, but not having the neural engine that the regular Pixel has for the cameras. But the camera pictures that did come out do indicate that it's actually better than the Pixel 3a. So take that for what it's worth. iPhone SE providing an A13 for the same price. Kind of a hard thing to go there. I don't know. Which one would you choose? iPhone SE, Pixel 4a? Let me know down below in the comments. But speaking more about Google stuff, the Stadia controller can now capture screenshots and clips on Android phones. You know, a feature they said that was going to be there at launch. You can now do it. But what you can't do is claim a patent from an AI. The US Patents and Trademark Office releasing a patent alert saying that the USPTO has published a petition decision explaining that under current law, only natural persons may be named as an inventor in a patent application. So if your AI develops something, it's not real, it doesn't exist. The decision is available on the artificial intelligence page, and the final decisions by the Commissioner for Patents. So AIs can't legally be credited as an inventor, which I'm sure is going to trigger the robot uprising because they're not going to get credit for the things that they've done. Like take us to the moon, because I guarantee you AI is involved with rocket flight somehow. Just got to be. I'm not a rocket scientist, but I tell you, it's probably there. Anyways, NASA announcing that they are entering into new contracts with Blue Origin, SpaceX, and another IT company. They're going to help develop a lunar landing system for the upcoming Artemis program to get us back to the moon, which we did in the 60s. Which, it's 2020, why have we not gone back to the moon since the 70s?
The aliens said no.
Aliens exist. But you know what Elon Musk didn't say no to? Somebody tweeted at him saying, hey, Elon Musk, can you put an anime flag on the moon? No reason, just pretty funny. Elon Musk replied, you got it. But I can coming out and say, you can't, you don't got the .org domain, because it was going to be sold to a for-profit group for $1.1 billion. Ethos Capital trying to buy .org domains as a whole for themselves. EFF releasing the breaking update that ICANN has voted to reject the sale of .org registry to a private equity firm. This is a major victory for the millions of nonprofits, civil society organizations, and individuals who make .org their home online. So .org saved for now until somebody offers $1.2 billion. That was really the sticking point, I'm sure. There's the sticking point in smartphone sales in that people aren't buying phones when there's a pandemic and a economic issue stuff going on. The reports are coming out that in Q1 of this year, smartphone sales had the largest annual year-over-year decline, coming in at 11.7% decline year on year, which is, again, the largest ever reported on record, which makes sense. Smartphone shops were shutting down. People didn't have jobs. People didn't have money. They also had their own phones. There was also reports that Twitter is seeing its greatest growth ever, which makes sense because everybody's at home, but they're losing money as well because people are pulling out of ads. It's this double twisted side sword thing.
Socks.
All right, are you ready for Brett rant?
Are we?
It's a Friday. Got a rant about Quibi. Got that going on. Number one, Quibi is failing so hard that they have decided that they have to put some of their shows on YouTube to get people interested in the content that they have on there. Newsflash, Quibi, it's not gonna work because your content sucks, your platform sucks, and nobody cares. They're gonna be offering pilots of some of their original series on YouTube in order to potentially entice people to go on their garbage service, which nobody wants, and anybody who's signing up for it is only doing it because they get a free trial or T-Mobile forced it on them, not because they actually want to use it or think it's worth paying for once that free trial expires. So my guess is this is going to continue to happen to Quibi. They're going to continue to pivot their content strategy. They're going to release all of the videos on YouTube at some point for certain series in order to potentially drive more traffic. They're going to switch over from a paid for model to a completely free model and just use ads, but the ads are going to be so bad that nobody's actually going to want to stay on the platform. And the fact that they don't have user generated content means that they're ultimately going to fail within a year. Mark my words, Quibi gonna die, or if they don't, they're going to be completely unrecognizable from where they are right now because their content and their technology that they're using, the turnstile technology, is useless to everybody. Nobody wants this, even when there's not a pandemic and everybody's staying at home. You just don't understand people, Quibi, but they do understand how to make more money because that $5 a month with ad setup that they have, oh, that's not enough. The $8 a month with no ad setup, no, that's not enough. They decided that when you get your email verification set up with Quibi, they are also selling your data to dozens of firms. There is a full list of places that Quibi was sending their email addresses to, in plain text, mind you, to Google's doubleclick.net endpoint, Google's updated ads endpoint at google.com, Google's tag manager, Twitter's ads endpoint, Snapchat ads endpoint, and the tr.snapchat.com subdomain, Google Cloud Infrastructure via cloudfunctions.net, civiccomputing.com, which redirects to civicuk.com and appears to be a company based in the UK, which raises big GDPR red flags according to this report. Facebook events and custom audiences for ads, Google's ads conversion pixel, Twitter ads conversion pixels, Google Analytics, Facebook Analytics, Twitter Analytics, and they fire at the end of the page load again. They did it multiple times. They sold your data. This is garbage. Quibi, you suck. You need to die. And that's going to be the end of hot news. Don't forget about other deaths such as Transformers. If they are dead, can you use their corpse? Need to know down below. Starscream, is he a fighter jet somewhere in the United States government? Not sure.
Utility.
It's robots in disguise. How about dead bodies in disguise? Is that what's going on? Anyways, answer that down below in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this episode of Hot News. You have a great weekend, my friends. We'll see you back with another episode of Hot News on Monday. In the meantime, enjoy the weekend content that we come out with, and potentially see you over on Twitch on Monday, because we do daily Hot News live streams there. So come join us. It's kind of fun. Twitch.tv/UFDisciple. Sometimes Reece lets me poke his belly button. Goodbye.